Gerry should be back on here. Let's see if this is Chris. Gerry, you with us?
I'm here.
Awesome, I can hear you. Chubby, you there? Chubby, there's two of you on there, so I'm hoping I promoted the right one. Yeah, we're good to go.
How's that?
That is perfect. Let's see if Aaron, see if Aaron, if you end up joining us and you hear this, let me know and I'll promote you over there. First and foremost, guys, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us today. I think this has been an incredible resource. I personally have learned a ton from you guys. I want to thank you guys for spending time out of your day to do this. And obviously everyone that joined us today, this has been incredible. I think one of the biggest shining moments out of all this COVID stuff is that there's a ton of information out there for people to learn, right? You know, we don't have to travel anymore. I mean, this information is available on demand and a lot of this is free. And I think one of the biggest things that you guys have all touched on is all of this stuff is not something where we got to change the business, right? We are changing the business and we're changing the procedures, but we're changing you as a business owner, right? You need to make some personal changes and you need to put some work into this and then you're going to start to see the dividends from it. But I think it's been awesome. And I think that this is going to be probably information overload for a lot of people. So luckily they can go back and watch this again. But yeah, I mean, we've already went a ton on here. I'm not sure if you guys had anything that you wanted to cover with, but the kind of thing that I want to start off and kind of hear your thoughts on this is if I'm a shop right now, we got this uncertainty with the election. You know, Chubby did an awesome job of kind of, showing some of these numbers and showing that we think that we might have a slow 3, 4, 5 months from here before, we start seeing some positive improvements, whether that's wintertime, whether that's COVID related, a lot of stuff. If you're talking to a shop owner right now, what are you saying to do or get ready or prepare for the next 5, 6 months? Chris, we'll start with you. Oh, I got two Chris's. We'll go Chris Cotton there first.
Oh, can you repeat that one more time? Somebody sent a message for a question and I was like trying to answer real quick, but I lost you.
So I'm saying if you're talking to a shop owner right now and we're concerned about stuff slowing down here for the next couple months, what are you telling to that shop owner? What should I be doing? What is your biggest piece of advice?
Well, and Chubby said it earlier, if everybody missed it, and I'm glad he said it because I'm saying it now. You have to go back to basics. You have to go from where you started from. If the shop owner has to be at the counter, with the troops in it, knee deep every day for the next 5 months, then that's what you got to do. I think one thing I want to say is, I think as an industry that we did a great job helping each other out. I know, for me, myself, through WorldPack and other places like that, and Chubby and ATI, April, May, June, we were doing webinars like every day, talking to clients, keeping people off the ledge, everything else. And if you look at the restaurant industry, they didn't have that support from coaches or anybody and didn't support themselves that way. So having said that, again, back to basics. One of the first things that we first started talking about April, May, June was calling all the customers, making sure that you're open, and give them a level of service that they've never had before, right? And then Chubby again earlier said, hey, if you do it once, you got to continue it. So that's the same thing. What I'm seeing now is our service advisors and staffs are exhausted because we've been so busy and we've done so well. And so some of our customer service stuff has started to slip when I'm listening to phone calls and things like that. So we got to get those people, we got to get the staff re-energized, ready for the end of the year and the beginning of next year. And again, it's just back to basics into 2021.
Cool. Chubby, what would you tell a shop right now? After Chris stole your idea there.
I did, didn't I? We can ask Gerry, but Chris is right. The basics are really the key when things start going to hell in a handbasket. But I'd really, since I think the long-term problem is more of a threat to us than the short-term problem of COVID is staffing the shop. So I think it's important that you don't lose anybody through this because, as Chris said, people are getting wore out right now. They're tired of wearing masks. They're tired of staying home. And they're sick and tired of everything. And, if somebody comes along with a better opportunity, they may jump ship, even though it may be a bad decision for them. So I think concentrating on our people and helping them grow and figuring out what it'll take to help them engage is really going to be something that will keep owners busy during all this and keep us focused on coming out of this versus, continuing the misery.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's something that we've seen. I know, especially down here in this area, that a lot of dealerships are struggling with. Of when some of this stuff slowed down, they panicked and they fired off a ton of their technicians. And then when business picked back up, they went to call their technicians, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I got a job somewhere else." Right?
Right.
Gerry hired me off the street, and so I love that idea. I mean, if you don't have a team, you don't have a business. And especially if you're in a smaller shop where you have 1 or 2 or 3 technicians, you lose a technician, you could have a complete lost year trying to staff that. So exactly right. Cool. Gerry, what are you thinking? What are you telling your shops right now that you're working with?
Well, you said there are 2 Chris's on the call. I think there's 2 Chubbies on the call. I'll take one of them. Good to see you. Good to see you guys, and I'm glad to be back. What come to my mind right away, and it may be something I was reading the other day. Make sure you got enough runway. So the number one reason why planes crash is they run out of runway. And what the heck does that have to do with business? Make sure you got enough runway, and runway in our business is cash. So now's not the time to be spending frivolously, I don't believe. I think most experts recommend that you've got enough, cash, I guess, to be able to stay in business 90 days. Look at those expenses and make sure you got enough runway left. In every business, I heard the governor in Ohio talk a little bit yesterday, give us all his gloom and doom. But one of the things that he said that I thought was incredible, with every tragedy, danger, all of that, there is always opportunity. All you can do is control the controllables. None of us can. I don't have the ability to make a vaccine, or do anything that's going to really impact the COVID. But all I can do is control kind of what both Chubby and Chris had said. Control the controllables. What can I do within my 4 walls to make sure I'm in business tomorrow, the next month, and so on? And a lot of that is just practicing the basics. And I guess the other thing I would say, don't watch the news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get off the news, get off of Facebook. Yeah. Tend to the part of the garden that you can reach, and everything else is out of your control.
Yeah.
Cool. Love it. Yeah. I mean, Tammy had a good thing here. Do some team building, right? Morale is at an all-time low, not only in the country as a whole, right? But also a lot of times in their shop, right? So make sure that we're staying there, staying together, really propping people up and giving a positive attitude. One question that came in here that I want to hear your guys' thoughts on is Justin here is asking, he has a B Tech that is not money motivated. He's a workplace environment motivated. As a result, he's great for morale, but bad for efficiency. What would you guys do with a technician like that? Someone can grab that. I'm not going to assign that. Someone that has a good idea on that. How do we motivate someone that's not money motivated and they're just a positive energy type person?
What does motivate them?
Yeah, exactly. It says workplace environment motivates. So he likes a positive attitude. How do you motivate someone that has strong feelings like that, Chubby?
I guess you'd have to work on creating a positive attitude around the shop. That would be number one. But odds are there's probably something just more than that. Mm-hmm. I would dig a little bit deeper because trying to keep the shop always positive and always bubbly and always happy in order to keep one guy productive, that's not an easy thing in this business because there's days. But I would try to make everybody, I would try to, share it with everybody and keep everybody happy. But at the same time, figure out what else is, there's probably about 4 or 5 other things that are driving that. Could be recognition dependency. It could be a million things, but determine what else is driving that ship to get him like that.
Cool. I like it.
Maybe you make him in charge of employee morale. Maybe he's the guy that sits down with everybody and checks in and takes their temperature, so to speak, and go from there. I mean, it could be several different things.
Cool.
I don't know. It's our job to motivate employees. I don't think we can do that. You could provide some of the tools, but a lot of technicians and our employees, staff in general, look what's going on at home. The family life, maybe is going to hell. There's so many things that are, totally out of our control. One of the things I think about often is, what's the most important thing that I could give my people? What's the most important thing?
Paycheck.
That's what they think. Yeah. But really what it is my truth. We've got an open door policy. I often sit down with employees and I just tell them what's going on. Hey, I noticed there's something bothering you, or I notice I just can't seem to motivate you. Help me out. What can we do? And I think just sometimes just sharing, your little piece of yourself goes a long way. They're not just a number. They're really your most valuable asset.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that too is if they like a positive energy, obviously the biggest energy comes from you as the shop owner, right? And so if you just communicate, hey, this is what I'm expecting out of you. Maybe you don't want more money. I'd love to give you more money if that's what makes you tick. But what's going to make me happy and what's going to have the best morale is if we're productive and we're cranking out work so that we can make our customers happy. That's a tricky one. I see Tara just recommended a cool book here. A good book called What Motivates Me that's helped our team tenfold to figure out what actually makes people tick. And then another one, Dream Manager. So Justin, check those out. I think those should be cool.
The Dream Manager is a book I got in my CEO group, and bigger companies actually have that as a role. And what Chris said with
well, like
that
an
guy,
actual position?
It says, oh yeah, big time position. And the bigger companies have found tremendous traction with it, where they would literally teach somebody how to buy their first home, and they would help them get things that they never had in life. And they were usually older. They had a lot of experience. They'd been there, done that. So Chris's idea was actually not bad. Empower somebody to be the dream manager. It's a good idea, but I definitely think you can motivate people without question. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be here on your with you guys today.
Exactly.
Chubby, I wanted to mention something you said about the dream manager. And when you said that, it just kind of clicked with me. I know often, usually around, the first of the year, everybody starts making those New Year's resolutions, and most of them are a wish. But often we do a team meeting that time of year, and we give people vision boards. So again, hey, what do you want? I ask them to cut some stuff out of magazines, paper, print it off the internet, whatever. Come back, and we start doing an exercise. First, we pass out the boards, and then you'd be surprised what they come back with. Maybe it's, get closer to God, buy a first, get rid of debt, quit smoking, quit hitting the booze, whatever it is. But it's awesome when they share that with you, and somebody maybe is able to buy their first vehicle or their first home or whatever that might be, and you can play a part of helping them achieve those dreams. So great.
Where you got that idea from, Gerry? Remember the old goal poster?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that guy that wrote the book Chicken Soup,
Yep.
He created an electronic goal poster for the millennials that are online today. And instead of cutting and pasting, I actually went through an exercise of doing it electronically. It wasn't as much fun as cutting and stuff out, but it sure was. It's just as effective.
Awesome. Good question here from Katie. Any suggestions on motivating techs and advisor to participate in continuing education? How do you guys talk to shop owners about making sure that, not only them, but their team is buying in and taking these courses and learning more about this? Do you pay them? Do you make them do it? How do you get them excited about that?
I have some feedback on that, but go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, absolutely pay them. And I mean, you can't make anybody do anything. Was just the quick answer I was going to have. Go ahead, Gerry.
No, I was going to say, a couple of things. When I think about my technicians, most of them want to learn. Cars, I talk to them all the time about cars are going to pass you by. The technology is going to pass you by, and you're going to be working at the guy the shop down the street that only does mufflers and oil changes. Good luck on trying to provide for your family with that. I find most techs have a desire to learn. So we provide them with the training. Even a lot of it's hands-on, even though today my techs are going through a training class right now, a hands-on one in our area, and a lot of good feedback. Of course, I have them, we sign a little agreement because I'm investing quite a bit of money in that if they leave in 12 months, we'll prorate what they owe me back. That's just wise to do. I'm investing in you on a chance because I believe in you. And the way we pay them is we came up with a training wage, whatever that might be, 15, 20 bucks an hour. And I got this idea from a dear friend of mine, Bill, fellow shop owner in Medina, Ohio. But what he said he did, and I implement the same thing, is we give them a training wage, and then for every hour of training that they attend, and we track it, it turns out to be a Christmas bonus at the end of the year. So it's a great way to motivate some of them. With service advisors, I got to kind of get inside their head a little bit, and we watch a lot of that together and don't overwhelm them. We try to just work on one principle. One of the things I worked on, several months ago, I shared a little bit in my talk earlier today, but getting the customers to view the inspection with you. So we started listening to calls together, and I just wanted to try to get them to do that one thing. And then once we got that done, let's move on to the next thing. But trying to get your service advisors to, watch 8 hours of video online without you policing it to make sure it's absorbing it, they're absorbing it, is really a tough road to hoe.
Exactly right.
One thing I would say is you also have to have them, you have to allow them the time to train, right? You can't be like, hey, techs, at Friday at noon, we're going to stop and everybody's going to do a training seminar. And then at 11:47, you go in and be like, oh, too busy. Nobody gets to train today. You can't jerk rugs out from underneath people and, training plans, pay plans, stuff like that. If you offer it and give it, you can't take it away. You can't take it back.
They're more often to show up, or they're more likely to show up if you feed them well too.
There you go. There's an easy, cheap one. You know what? If there's free lunch out there, or if it's after hours free booze, you're probably going to have pretty good attendance, right? I like
feeding the whole class. It can get a little expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, Chubby, you learned that a long time ago. You give them some dinner, you give them some booze. They're like, you know what? Maybe I do. I don't mind flying out there for this.
Yeah, well, if you're going to fly them, most of them feel honored if you're going to send them a distance and invest in them. Mm-hmm. They really become quite empowered by it. Gerry's right. If it's virtual, it's more challenging, and you really need to generate quizzes to make it interesting, so they stay engaged in it. So that they're watching it, and you can see the scores. But I think most really good service advisors realize that selling's not like riding a bicycle. You can be really good at it one day, you can suck terribly at it the next day, and it could be what's going on at home or how you feel. But we all need to get tuned up, and the real good ones, they know that, and they're probably really honored that you would consider investing money in them to help them stay and get better. So for most of them, it's not that hard to get them to drink the Kool-Aid.
If it's the right person, right? It's the right person. They want to do this stuff anyways, and they're honored that you do it. If you have someone that's really against training, you either have someone that's got an attitude problem or an ego problem.
Or they went to a training class that was really terrible. Right?
Exactly. Have a bad taste.
See a lot of that where they've been to something, and it was a sales pitch on selling some kind of part, and I'm never gone back to that. So, but once you get them to go to a really good class the first time, and they participate and they become enthusiastic, and then they go home, and typically at our school we see like 21% increase in ARO if you can just tune them up every year, and then they fall down during the year and go back to bad habits. So once they drink the Kool-Aid, that you got them, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, here's kind of a unique question here. So one of our issues with sending techs to class is that they found that they get an opportunity to talk to other technicians. Some of that ends up being a positive thing, but other times they exchange numbers, payroll information, how busy they are, and it becomes problematic for us. Despite everyone being paid fair, this guy's got multiple locations. So some of them I think he's talking about amongst themselves, not just other shops. Any solution to this?
It's a never-ending problem. It probably fares on the side of transparency to begin with, in that if you have a lot of different comp plans and you're doing a lot of things different, or you're underpaying them and maybe you're making more margin than you should, as soon as you send them out there, they're going to get it, whether it's from a training class or having a beer at a bar with another guy that happens to be in the same industry. It is a problem. I can't, we see it. We and I have been in the middle of it.
The worst thing that can happen is you don't train them. Right? What's the alternative? You don't train them at all?
You cage them in the back of the shop and throw some food back there, and then they can't communicate or have any outside communication.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it too is, hey, you know what? If you think that you're paying someone a fair wage and you're happy with it and you want to keep this person invested and you really think it's a fair wage, you're willing to stand behind it, then I think that you'd be able to have that conversation and say, hey, Gerry, the reason that you're making $6 an hour less than Chris does is because Chris knows how to do this in his sleep. He's got a good attitude. He has zero comebacks. He does all the training. If you do all of that, you'll make the same money as Chris. You know, if, like you said, Chubby, there's transparency to it of, hey, there's a reason, there's scales here, and here's where you're on the scale. If you are as good or think you're as good as Chris, then you're going to get paid as well as Chris. So that's a tricky one. I don't think, what does it say? Kim said one. The old saying is you can't steal a happy spouse. Exactly. If you have great culture and your total customers love you, it won't matter. Yeah. If you're taking care of the people and they're happy with where they are, then they're not going to look to jump ship. So.
Well, and I said in there, set the standard. You host the training instead of letting them go to other places like that, and be the shop that everybody wants to go to. One thing that I would add to that is if he's talking about his one shop talking to another shop and they're all his shops, then he needs to get in there seriously and do some processes and procedures and put a pay plan in. Hopefully that works for everybody. Sometimes that's not doable, but we have a group of shops in Colorado that's what we're working on. Everybody's following the same processes and procedures. Everybody's on the same pay plan, culture, et cetera.
Yeah, because that's probably a tricky thing. If I'm at location 1 and I'm struggling to get 35 hours, not because I'm not productive, but I just don't have the cars. And I talk to a guy down at location 3 and he's like, I got more work than I know what to do with. I flagged 60 hours last week. That's going to be a bad conversation. And there's nothing that you can do to change that on the employee level, right? That's, you got to look in the mirror and say, well, we need to increase the cars at location 1 so they can't complain about that, because any human would complain about something like that.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. So, Dan, I'm not sure we helped you with your question at all there, but everyone here is saying we feel your pain, and it does happen. There's things that we can do to minimize it, but it's the nature of the beast. It's probably the nature of the industry. Cool. That about wraps it up. If you guys have anything that you guys wanted to add here, but yeah, I just want to say thank you all again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been incredible, and I think people really got a lot out of this.
And no, thank you very much, Hunt, for considering me. Again, I've been a longtime client. Chubby, thank you. I've seen you talk, been a member of your program for a number of years. I don't know what you do. You never age. You're the same. Went back. I went back, I think in the 80s to Maryland and took many of your courses, and you look the same. So keep up the good work, whatever you're doing.
Gerry, that's very kind of you. It's probably been 30 years, but
yeah, probably.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. It's been an honor. Thank you for everyone that joined us today. And yeah, I'll follow back. We'll get the recordings out probably later today or tomorrow, depends how long Zoom takes. And then a couple people asked about the slideshows. So as long as everyone's okay with that, we'll get those hosted for everyone too. So thanks again. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. And I'll talk to you all soon.
Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See ya.
everybody.